Some things just go well together. Salt and pepper, peanut butter and jelly, French toast and room service, Hillary Clinton, and ignoring serious sex abuse allegations. During the 1990s, Hillary Clinton defended her husband in the face of them. In the 2000s, she was a close confidant of Harvey Weinstein's. Her husband, meanwhile, flew around on Jeffrey Epstein's plane. But in 2018, Hillary Clinton pivoted completely. Brett Kavanaugh, you'll remember, was accused that year without any evidence of being a sexual predator. And Hillary Clinton said his accuser had to be believed.
Look, I watched as much of her testimony as I could. I found her very credible. I found her willingness to say, I don't remember that, but I remember this, to be very convincing.
Well, you know, things change. The only constant is change, and the political calculations of these questions has changed completely all of a sudden. So Hillary Clinton has rediscovered the value of skepticism and due process. Why? Two words: Tara Reade. That's a former Biden staffer who alleges that Biden sexually assaulted her. No, not sexually harassed, but assaulted physically. Today, Hillary Clinton didn't just endorse the man accused of that by a former staffer, Joe Biden. She gushed about Biden's character. Watch this.
We need a leader, a president like Joe Biden. I also know a lot about Joe, the person. I've seen him up close and personal now for many years. We have a lot of the same values in common, the kind of compassion and caring that we need from our president, and which Joe Biden has been exemplifying throughout his entire life.
You were probably too transfixed by Hillary Clinton to notice the guy next to her, Joe Biden. Biden looked like he fell asleep a couple times in the middle of that short oration. Poor Joe Biden. Hillary's probably staying up late right now figuring out how she can snatch the nomination from him. But the point stands. She doesn't believe all women. Jeanine Pirro does. She hosts Justice with Jeanine. She joins us tonight. Judge, thanks so much for coming on. So this is almost too easy, but I have to get your view of this. Hillary Clinton has pivoted once more, and now she thinks we should pause before judging.
You know, Hillary Clinton endorsing Joe Biden when he's being accused of, as you say, not sexual harassment, but sexual assault, is like the kiss of death. The woman is literally a standard bearer, the magnet, the enabler for sexual predators, whether it had to do with her husband, who was credibly accused of raping Juanita Broderick, who had a busted lip, disheveled clothes, and made an immediate outcry, or her laughing about the rapist who raped a 12-year-old into a coma, or her emails that were found on Anthony Weiner's laptop, or Jeffrey Epstein, or hanging out with Weinstein when everyone in Hollywood knew what was going on. Need I go on? But let me just say this about her. This woman is a woman who does not stand for women. And for her right now to endorse Joe Biden is really to ignore what all of the Me Too movement has been talking about when they yelled at us during the Brett Kavanaugh hearings. All women need to be believed, except if they're Republican or except if they're accusing a Democrat. Now, let's talk about Brett Kavanaugh and Tara Reade. Tara Reade accusing Joe Biden, and I come to this, Tucker, as a prosecutor and as a judge. I started a sex crimes unit in the DA's office. I know this business very well. Tara Reade, made an immediate outcry. A recent outcry is a contemporaneous report, and it holds a lot of weight in a criminal courtroom in a sex offense case. And what that means is that it is admissible evidence, and the jury is allowed to find the victim more credible if she made an outcry. Tara Reade made an outcry to her mother, her brother, her friend, and we found out yesterday her neighbor, who supports Joe Biden, but who says Tara Reade doesn't lie. Tara Reade also made a recent outcry to the people in the Senate. This happened to her when she was working for Joe Biden. And when she made the complaint to 3 people about Joe Biden pushing her up against a wall in the Senate when no one else was around, pulling up her skirt and putting I'm not going to get graphic here, but sexually abusing her, they moved her away from where she had been working in the Senate office to a room with no window Meadows and all 3 interns that she oversaw as a supervisor can attest to the fact that she was abruptly taken away as their supervisor. And finally, we have documentary evidence that she worked with Joe Biden. We have Senate records. And the mother, even though the mother passed, complained to Larry King. We have that evidence in 1993 when this happened. Now, when it came to Kavanaugh, Christine Blasey Ford didn't know the date, time, place, or year, and she not only didn't have any corroboration, there was negative corroboration. And what I mean by that is people that Christine Blasey Ford said were with her when Brett Kavanaugh assaulted her said, no, we weren't. So this is just politics, pure, unadulterated politics. It's about power, supporting people who you want to be in power. It has nothing to do with women and protecting women in the system.
Well, it has nothing to do with women. I'm not much of a feminist. I would never hang around with Harvey Weinstein and Bill Clinton. It really tells you a lot about her. Judge Jeanine, thank you for that. Good to see you tonight.
Okay.